You're here early. Sometimes it's good to be early. But our show starts at a specific time. You should remember that. Let's get started then, shall we?
Dillon, I don't give a what you think about a co-host and freshen up my show.
It might not be flashy, but sometimes you just got to toss another person to make a statement.
My show's about the people's podcast. Everyone has a voice. I don't need a co-host. Go listen to one of the other 5,000 shows with a co-host because they don't have a mouth like the big guy.
Opie, are you a career killer with Tim Sabian, yourself, and many others?
Be myself. Never had real issues with those people. They just understood that I was a different bird. The rest of them, though, I'm like, oh, shut up. I'm paying your salary because the ratings are so good, so shut up.
Hey,
Live from
Somewhere.
it's
Dillon.
Good whatever to you whenever you are watching this episode of Co-Host Auditions. I am your co-host, Dillon. This is my self-taped audition to be the co-host of a channel that is already monetized, because that would be nice to bring in a little money, wouldn't it? Today, our host is Call Me Chato. The subtitle of this episode is Old Man Yells at Hollywood, and that could count for either me or this fellow Chato, because we both are old men yelling at Hollywood today. This first video from Call Me Chato, who has 114,000 subscribers, 65,000 views on this video. Hollywood is nuking itself. And yeah, I would agree with that, especially with the way the SAG-AFTRA contract has gone. The middle class will be wiped out in favor of AI with the language that is involved with the new contract. So what do you believe is up with Hollywood nuking itself, Mr. Chato?
Hello, denizens of the internet. Welcome. Today, I want to talk to you about an interesting observation that I had, that Hollywood's greatest threat is its own past. Have you noticed that since the writers' strike that there has been no late night talk shows? No, neither have I.
No one has noticed. Jimmy Kimmel started up a horrible podcast to kind of expose that all the late night talk show hosts don't have what it takes anymore. They need those army of writers just to be middling.
This revelation has led me to think about a bunch of things regarding the present state of entertainment. I've already done a video on how the entertainment industry has become less entertaining, and it's also become less fun as the legitimate attempt to.
And that is what the DC Universe versus Marvel was kind of all about. Zack Snyder presented something that was not fun at all versus what Marvel was, which was a very fun bunch of movies. Now we have our good buddy, why can't I remember his name? James Gunn heading up DC, and now it is a fun little area. Maybe James Gunn should be the executive producer of Hollywood.
To right the past's diversity wrongs, we've allowed ourselves to be overtaken by a bunch of fun suckers. I think this is partly due to people taking the dismantling of the Hollywood patriarchy way too seriously.
It's an overcorrection. That is what I have experienced, is that they are attempting to overcorrect for their years of patriarchy and having people that are just horrible in charge of things. So now they are overcorrecting and just sucking all the fun out of what. That's why you go see movies and television shows, is because they are fun. You have a good experience watching them. But no, the message is getting in the way of the fun, and I recommend all the time that people go and watch The Twilight Zone to see how you put your message second and a solid narrative first.
And believing progress had to be grim or the victories would not be taken seriously. We could use a bit less
A fun sucker actually is what I used to call my girlfriend, and really good fun sucker. That's why she stuck around for longer than she would have otherwise.
representing and more entertaining. Essentially, all the boomers who knew nothing about computers hired way too many kids out of school to do search engine optimization, who then took over Hollywood. Can we get
And there's actually a battle. I dated an animator for a little while of people who think that narrative is dead. There are multiple people, executive producers, in charge of shows that say narrative is dead, when really that's what gets people coming back and interested, is the overarching story.
get past this confrontational stage and return to the convivial Hollywood of old? Probably not. For several reasons. It really was an old boys club. The Johnny Carson Show was a frat house featuring frequent appearances by...
And actually, it does feel that way. Like it's a bunch of buddies, a bunch of frat buddies just hanging out on the Johnny Carson Show, which is very different. It's become oversaturized now and just way too clean and nice. You do want to be clean and nice to get those celebrities to come in, but too squeaky clean, and it's boring.
Dean Martin, Bob Hope, Don Rickles, Buddy Hackett, Bob Newhart, Carl Reiner, with a healthy sprinkling of sexy actresses. Face it, men like goofy and consequential conversation that I think most people found fun in its time. Did it help that they were drinking and smoking on camera? Who knows? But here is where
It did add to the laid back kind of atmosphere that they had of people just lighting up a cigarette.
experience as a Canadian entertainer and network executive is useful, because as an actor, there was nothing equivalent up here to the Carson Show to promote our paltry attempts at
He has a very distinct way of talking. He is very deliberate in his delivery. I kind of wish that you were more popular amongst people. I mean, 114,000 subscribers is nice, but I'm really starting to like making fun of your voice.
competing with the Hollywood juggernaut. And therefore, we had few stars with the wattage of not just the aforementioned, but the big movie stars of the time, many of whom were expatriate Canadians. Our inferiority complex was largely formed by...
And really, I am a big fan of Canadian content. I mean, growing up on You Can't Do That on Television, I wasn't aware that was those good old Canucks, but indeed it was.
sleeping
Ooh, and one of their daughters is on TikTok, and they're a hooker. I haven't seen her for a while, but yeah, one of the You Can't Do That on Television actresses has a daughter who is a hooker and proud of it on TikTok. She might have forced her to get off, just like some of our good friends over on YouTube whose family talked them into, what the fuck are you doing? Take these videos down.
with the American entertainment elephant. But between the studios being kidnapped by social justice warriors and the installation of DEI departments, Hollywood is experiencing the double whammy of inferior entertainment and a cohort of incredibly dull and uninteresting talent. And we're
Quantum Leap. I point to that a lot, and I haven't even gotten to the point of how they put we are trans activists in front of telling a good story. I mean, the way that they push their narrative, I am not against that, but you are making me against it, Quantum Leap, by taking all the good narrative pieces and just being like, hey, look, we are super ultra woke, being more important than the narrative.
worse, polarized talent that likes to tell us how wretched we, the audience, are. It's as if someone put a list together titled How to Kill Off Hollywood. Congratulations to the studios, writers, producers, and actors.
Just like Detroit. Detroit done killed itself, and I was really under a very specific type of negotiating tactic with the SAG-AFTRA contracts of let Hollywood die, let Los Angeles die, and no one really seemed to jump aboard that. And here we are at the 11th hour, and AI is going to wipe out the middle class.
Actors, you have been executing the plan perfectly. No one wants to return to the boozy, drug-infused sexual harassment of old Hollywood, though things have not changed as much as you think. Sex is power. But for this Canadian, it's funny to see how today's Hollywood can't compete with its own past, just like we couldn't. Look no further than at the talk shows. Are they horrible because the hosts have...
He kind of reminds me of Donahue. It's kind of like Dana Carvey's impression of Donahue back in the day. Do you do a church lady, Chato?
Is it because few performers on them engage us in any meaningful way? You can trot out Sigourney Weaver and Matt Damon only so many times.
Matt Damon.
Robin Williams, unfortunately, is gone. I also think the entertainment industry is still suffering from the residual radioactivity of the Trump presidency. Left-leaning comics...
Yeah, that was when Hollywood, very historically known for being left-leaning, just completely imploded on itself and decided we need to give the finger to this man much more than we need to be entertaining. And should have been entertaining first and giving the finger second.
Gorged on this
Samantha Bee
of a human being, but even myself, who loathed the man, got tired of the never-ending Trump routines within a couple of months, while the left slid further into Trump derangement syndrome, going so far as to ostracize anyone who chose to openly align with him. That apparently was a crime, with the unfortunate fallout of making many iconic actors persona non grata.
I knew some crew members that, were right-leaning, and they had to shut their fucking mouth when they got on set to be sure that they kept their job.
For an industry entirely based on recognizable performers, this was plain stupid. These were all self-inflicted wounds, and those on the outside looking in who used to complain about Hollywood being capitalist bastards are now wondering what happened to the capitalist bastards. Where'd you go? Please go.
They still have their weird-ass Hollywood accounting. I saw an article said it's under new scrutiny, but they do love their capitalism when it works in their favor.
Back, we love you. From my vantage point of having been in the network television business, I am constantly shocked at how the streaming services still live cheek by jowl next to the network dinosaurs that are still roaming middle America have completely ignored the DNA of what made a network show.
Isaac Walmart pointing out Superstore was very progressive, and I do know that they had a multi-season storyline of the store unionizing. I don't know if that ever paid off in the end, but they did give me money several times, so thank you, Superstore, for giving me money and featuring me eating a bag of chips on an episode. I don't know if that made that to air, but a few of me wandering around shopping for items made it to air.
Successful. It seems the total freedom that streaming offered went to streaming showrunners' heads. If only they would combine the best of both worlds, the procedural nature of network.
You are really tempting me to go 1 1/4 speed, Mr. Chato. You've got some points, but your speech pattern is starting to wear on me already.
Shows with the production values and the continuing arc of a short-run series. Would it have been so hard to have the Witcher Geralt fight a monster of the week while continuing series story? Some of you are thinking, but that's not very creative. Correct. A TV series is a friend you invite into your living room.
And Monsters of the Week. X-Files had their Monsters of the Week. They had the different type of episodes. Twilight Zone, as I mentioned earlier, would have the Monster of the Week sometimes. Sometimes they would have a message. And yeah, you change it up. And Monsters of the Week are very entertaining.
Comfort food. It's mashed potatoes. Craft your art within the constraints
makes
of
mashed
the
potatoes?
repeating format, and you will have a better chance at a hit show. As I said earlier, this isn't about the loss of institutional knowledge. It's being ignored by the woke who, by definition, believe.
Well, I call it overwoke, really. They are muddling their message. There is some good in there, but they are just pushing it so far that it seems all bad. They came in saying,
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it.
and they overfixed it. So now we are coming back as an audience saying the same thing, to fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, how it used to be.
The entire past is bad, but it's clear you haven't invented.
Which is why Rachel Ziegler really made Disney fans, longtime Disney fans, very upset. She went out and did those interviews where she was just shitting completely on the original Snow White, and the fans, the hardcore ones, were like, we like that. Don't completely shit on it. You can have some critiques of it, but saying it was outright bad, Rachel Ziegler, we are not a fan of yours.
Any recognizable future. And what is Hollywood's answer to this? Of course, going all in on the diversity, equity, inclusivity acid trip, the Oscars instituted a diversity checkbox program for all nominees. Well, they recently made a slight adjustment. Only if you're pushing your movie for the...
Lily Tomlin, what do you think of those slight alterations?
No! God damn it! You fucked it up! God damn you!
Oh, I thought you were very left-leaning, Lily Tomlin. I would have expected just the opposite reaction from you.
Best Picture category, will that be required? Boy, I can hardly wait to hear that slate. For the other categories, your movie staffing can be as racist and homophobic as you want. Whew! The Oscars are dying. How is restricting Best Picture nominees to those that are checkbox friendly going to help? Wakanda would never have been nominated. It wasn't diverse. There was only one white guy in it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once might be considered too Asian under the new rules. Das Boot would never be nominated. No Black Latino lesbians on the World War II German U-boat. I have always said we need more diversity of movies and TV than diversity in movies and TV, because we know what a massive failure the Squid Game was. If the Oscars are on life support, Hollywood just turned off the machine that goes ping. And so let's end here. For decades, there was nothing that symbolized Hollywood more than the Oscars. The fact that Hollywood is willing to kill it at the altar of social justice is worthy.
Well, I never understood why award shows got ratings at all. Even as a huge fan of the film industry, I never watched a single Oscars, Golden Globes, etc. Oh, and once they started giving awards to award shows in the 90s, that was just outright ridiculous.
Of a comedy movie. At the very least, you now know how us Canadians felt. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.
Yeah, I believe he was being ironic in that one, Sham People. People absolutely love the Squid Games, and it wasn't a diverse cast. It was a very Asian cast, correct? Who was the creator of that? But it was a very unique concept that people really enjoyed. I need to check that out as well. So there he was complaining about Hollywood, and he complains about comic books as well.
Hello, denizens.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm kind of racist in calling the cast all Asian, because I don't know exactly what part of the continent that they came from, and here we have him. Now, Chato has a problem with comic books as well as what is going on with Hollywood. So what is wrong with the comics industry, Mr. Chato? And please, can you say it in a tone of voice that is less like this.
Of the internet. So the friendly people at Bounding into Comics ran a story featuring Mark Millar, known for his Superman, Red Sun, Civil War, Wanted, and Kingsman stories. Accepting the premise that the
Wow, you're absolutely killing me with this tone of voice. I have not been following you so far at all, Mr. Chato. And I do like getting these video essayists. They are some of my favorites to do on this channel. But you are really killing me with this tone of voice.
comic book industry is in a shambles, he suggested that the best of the old guard writers and artists return to DC and Marvel and put in 2 years of work to revive the industry.
So they want a bit of a commitment from the old guard.
I want a commitment. I want to give a commitment, and I want to have a commitment.
So maybe they will come back. Did they get ran off with a stick and now they want them back? Is that what happened? I'm not exactly sure. I'm not as in tune with the comics shenanigans as I am with the Hollywood shenanigans.
He went on to say that DC and Marvel need about 20 great books, not the 1 or 2 good ones they are producing now, and that's debatable. That's a very interesting premise. Now, nowhere in the article does it indicate how this might happen. While Mark has returned to DC for a Superman story, I'm not certain how DC or the people presently running and working at the asylum will take to his suggestion. Isn't he stepping into the snake pit that engineered the mess that he is complaining about? Weren't a bunch of the comic book legends, as he called them, turfed out of DC and Marvel for having unmutual thoughts? I'm not certain.
Okay, so it sounds like I was correct. They were ran out of the comic industry with a stick. The turf, that was a very European term. It seems to made its way across the pond, that turfiness. And yeah, they call people a turf when they are just trying to have a conversation a lot of the times. J.K. Rowling's, I still feel like, was trying to have a conversation, and the fan base just absolutely nuked any types of talks. Turf, turf, turf. We will not talk to a turf.
Certain that the flying monkeys at the epicenter of this slide into oblivion, still running the joints, are at all interested in offering evidence for their own incompetency by bringing back the very people they hated, only to have them succeed. Helping the company back to profitability is less important for them.
Overcorrecting. That is the lesson of the story, is when you overcorrect, it's a big whoopsie.
These people then covering their asses. I just don't see Mark's plan working without firing the lot of them. It would be a holy war if, let's say, McFarlane.
Yeah, you're killing me with this tone of voice. I do not believe I will be returning to you, Mr. Chato. Your speaking voice, I thought, might not be that awful, but you are absolutely killing me with the way you are presenting this. If I go to 1.25, will that be too much?
Arlen Dixon and Ben Skyver suddenly.
Yeah, it does sound like fast forward. You're not quite in the territory of Hannibal TV, where I can comfortably take you to 1 1/4 speed without sounding like fast forward.
Showed up at their offices. And why would these people return to working for the hated multinationals for slave wages?
Money.
And here's a controversial take. No more gay-themed stories. For the decades I read comics, there was an awful...
You need to get it in the undertones. There's undertones of the X-Men being an allegory for homosexuals being oppressed, but it wasn't all up in your face hitting you with a hammer. That is how you get across your point without really tiring the audience on this message just being the complete taking over of what the comics are.
Awful lot of pining for someone of the opposite sex, but not a lot of consummation. Now women are slobbering over each other and men are tonsil tangoing at the
I do give a big thumbs up to Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn being lesbians, though. That one seems proper to me.
drop of a mask. It's not stunning and brave, it's lazy writing. All those caveats aside, the idea of letting some legends
Pandering, if
back
you will.
into the fold makes theoretical good sense for several reasons. Comic fans know their artists and writers. They would be excited to see what the old guard would come up with.
And the old guard would try to do their thing, but they do have to come in very Christian Bale.
No! Don't shut me up!
To get into the industry that ran them off with a stick and tried to shut them up.
There would be an expectation of quality storytelling and artwork that, obviously we've lost. That isn't to say there aren't good young artists, but the comic books I've bought recently all look very digitally and rushed. Then there's the elephant in the room, and that is no matter how
Batman versus Elmer Fudd, fantastic material. I'd have to actually go back and look at that art style. You see the art style of the decades really adhering to the new style. That's what bothers me of any animated show, like the redesign of the Looney Tunes, looking very Adventure Timey, just for no reason, doing this re-skinning of the Looney Tunes. Same thing with the Klingons in the new Star Trek. They reskinned the Klingons for the TNG, so let's reskin them again. No, it's an iconic look. No need to redesign those Klingons. And the current Bugs Bunny and such, it doesn't. It looks too much like everything else.
How well independent creators with their own projects have done, there is nothing to compare to the OG superheroes. I'm sorry. Perhaps these comic book legends still maintain some spiritual connection to characters they worked on and loved at some point. And contemplating the notion of superhero burnout may be what we're really tired of.
And that is like 3 out of every 4 movies released nowadays is a superhero movie, isn't it? They went, look, Iron Man was a hit in 2008? And now here we are in the dystopia where every single movie is a superhero movie.
Are the replacements. Absolutely no one cares about Falcon as Captain America. Ironheart is a laughable substitute for Iron Man. Black Panther was buried rather than replaced.
That's off my radar.
I would have loved to have seen a decent Black Widow outing. DC completely lost the plot, and no one cares about Black Adam, Shazam, or Blue Beetle. We want to see Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and a decent Green Lantern. Look at the one existing superhero who's still OG, Spider-Man. No Way Home is the only bona fide recent success.
That actually got people back in the theaters. What would get people back in the theaters? The first big hit after the lockdown was the multiverse Spider-Man From Home. I get those confused. Homecoming, No Way Home, Far From Home. I don't know which one is which.
We don't want replacements, and that includes Mr. Morales. Maybe if the comic books can resurrect all these classic heroes, that would feed into the studio's interest in recasting their OG folks in tights and metal cladding. It's the only way to confirm that superhero movies have not gone the way of Westerns. Maybe bringing back the...
I actually wasn't a fan of Westerns for the longest time. That's just what my grandfather watched. That's all he watched. And going back, there are some good Westerns, but very much like the superhero movie, they were just overdone. That was the style of the time for so long, where just everything was a Western, just like everything now is a superhero movie. And same with video games. WB Games has completely tanked their goodwill after the Gotham Knights and now the look of the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League by turning them into Fortnite wannabes when the fans didn't want Fortnite wannabes. They wanted a solo campaign with great storytelling and good fighting mechanics, but Gotham Knights is for free now for members of Xbox and PS5, and I still don't really want to play them. Just like the Suicide Squad, I was so excited for that game. Oh, the next generation, the next installment from the Arkham series, but I don't want to play Fortnite. I wanted to play something in the vein of the Arkham series.
The Graybeards will provide new ideas to work with that have nothing to do with multiverses. Marvel's dalliance with superhero placement theory has been a disaster. Disney's aversion to violence means we will never see anything like the original Netflix Daredevil or Jessica Jones's disturbing Thriller with David Tennant. Frankly, I'm not feeling very positive about Deadpool 3. We just
frankly
don't trust Disney. The hypothesis of superhero burnout cannot be fully tested until both Marvel and DC properly reconstitute their A-teams. There is no way we can judge.
Bring back Mr. T. It is the return of the A-team.
Based on Secret Invasion, Blue Beetle, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, because we never asked or wanted them in the first place. Perhaps She-Hulk, yes, but Marvel could have just saved the money and sent us all home waterboarding kits.
It was the executive producer in charge of She-Hulk that really decided to take it in the direction of fuck you guys.
Data points of shows we didn't want and the bad execution of them do not aggregate a credible anticipatory sociological clique. Now, assuming the recast Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Fantastic Four, X-Men movies live up to expectations, and yes, I understand that's a big if.
Oh, that Fantastic Four movie, that really sank the career of that guy. He was an up-and-coming director. Oh, and right before it was released, he put out on Twitter, I wish you guys could have seen the great movie that I made, but the studio took it away from me. And that's a good way to get yourself blackballed, is to publicly say, hey, the studio fucked this up and it's gonna suck. Even though they did, shortly before it got released, I don't know if he would still have a career, but coming out and biting the hand that feeds, they were like, nope, we won't feed you anymore.
Would we go and watch them? I would. Pack the Avengers away for a year or two. Deep Six, Agatha, Coven of Chaos.
And the Marvel Cinematic Universe is still going. That's something when I saw the plan that after the end of Phase 1, they're just going right into Phase 2, not giving us a break and making us want more movies, but just hitting us over the head with more and more and more Marvel type. And it moved over to TV shows. But I was very surprised. We're just going to keep this going as long as we can. And more is more. That is what a lot of people think of. That's why we got so many Westerns in the 60s and 70s. That's why we have so many superhero movies today. More is more.
Don't bother with Marvel Zombies and Wonder Man. Give us the OG. Perhaps better comics will add to the momentum. And maybe they can give us better bad guys? Am I asking too much? Do
Maybe.
a proper job, and then, only then, can we judge if there is superhero fatigue. And I'm sorry, the Marvels is just not going to do it. Till next time, denizens,
And no, it absolutely did not do it. We have one more video from this guy, but in the middle, we do get a shill segment asking you to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We are broadcasting, live streaming Monday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Co-host auditions, TikTok around the clock, and chatting with beloved chatters. we would like to chat with you, beloved chatters. You can get on the Discord. I didn't get that link ready, but Dillon from somewhere at gmail.com, Dillon from somewhere at gmail.com. We want to chat with you, beloved chatters. So one more video from our buddy here who, I see that Sham Pipple is a fan of this guy. I am not a fan of the way he's speaking. I wish that he would speak in a voice that was, I guess, a little less deliberate.
Hello, Dennis.
And he is very dressed up. He is looking very nice. That is why I put on a more dapper outfit for the occasion. And here, Matt and Trey can't save comedy alone, is what our buddy Chato is talking about right here, right now. And so he is a fan of the Panderverse. I honestly thought there was much more outrage of the Panderverse than was warranted. I did not think that they overstepped their bounds at all.
Denizens of the internet, I apologize for my coldy voice. As often happens when publishing a video, I get comments, reactions, and I contemplate. Regarding my less than enthusiastic South Park Panderverse video review, the vast majority of you agreed that you liked the show, but it missed the mark to some degree. Still others expressed the weird notion that at my age, I should not be enjoying myself anymore. But the real big story here is, why does it seem that
we are all becoming old men yelling at clouds? Maybe that's why he has the cloud right here, to get across the point that he is an old man yelling at a cloud, just like us all who used to like how entertainment was, and now we don't.
The South Park remains to wave the banner for scathing, ironic, insightful comedy. As disagreeable as I was towards the Panderverse episode, which I've been told is just one in a series, I don't think it's fair.
They have actually made the series longer. I believe it was going to be a two-parter, and Disney, just screaming, kicking, going to lawyers, got them to say, oh, we need to load this gun up a bit more. We are going to do 3 parts on this Panderverse.
That Trey and Matt seem to be the only ones left to carry this comedy burden on their own shoulders. Of course, that's not true. There are any number of stand-ups grinding out live specials who are dealing with taboo topics head on, such as Ricky Gervais. Bill Barr does a good job of it. But
Bill Barr? Is he the cousin of Bill Burr?
I don't think this is enough to get society at large to laugh at its foibles and prejudices, especially now.
No, it seems like we lost the ability to laugh at ourselves as a society, didn't it? We just have our certain points of view, and if you poke fun of it at all, we are going to yell and scream and cancel you.
With all this woke nonsense, I think the problem is actually volume, as in enough of it. Comedy used to be everywhere, in the movies, sketch shows, on TV. More and better.
Kids in the Hall, fantastic sketch show. Saturday Night Live goes through their different periods of being fantastic and being bad. That's how it's been since the beginning. 5 good years, 5 bad years, 4 in the middle years, 3 good years. And you don't want 3 good years. You want 4 good years. You get 3 good years, and your car is going to be all fucked up.
Better comedians telling the truth, like George Carlin and Richard Pryor. And really, I think it's a TV thing. I don't have to name all these socially conscious sitcoms that subtly and not so subtly poke fun at our prejudices. TV provided an almost universal distribution system that could affect many millions all at once. Yes, everyone mentions Norman.
Less millions now. The kids, they're not really into TV. They are into streaming and watching things at their own leisure. And I do miss the days of just something being on. all that time wasted on what do you want to watch? What do you want to watch? It's the new what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? And it's just a lot of time wasted on scrolling, the doom scrolling, as they say, through all the different things that are available.
Norman Lear's stable of sitcoms like All in the Family and Maude, but don't discount shows like the Beverly Hillbillies and Green Acres, which did their share of social engineering in more subtle ways and often outrageous ways. The anarchic sketch shows, which included the
I would really like Dana Carvey to play this man's part. This would be a fun little exercise for Mr. Carvey.
Smothers Brothers, In Living Color, Sonny and Cher, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, Mad TV, and even SNL in its heyday. Oh, where they were the court jesters, not afraid to tweak the noses of the establishment. There was Johnny Carson's monologue, which
SCTV, fun stuff. They got very experimental on there. And sometimes it didn't work, which is why Kids in the Hall is my favorite sketch show, even more than Mr. Show. Mr. Show, I absolutely adore what they did, but didn't hit as often as Kids in the Hall. And some of Scott Thompson's poking fun at his own gayness, people would be like, no, that is absolutely unacceptable nowadays, which is unfortunate.
If you listen to them now, Johnny had some very scathing barbs directed towards all political parties. This might come as a shock, but I
used to as well. You watch The Simpsons in the 90s. For every jab at the left, they took a jab at the right, and not that way anymore.
Had not given up on watching SNL. I know it's everyone's favorite punching bag, but I've watched it every Saturday until when Elon Musk guest hosted and several cast members refused to either appear with him.
And he tanked the Dogecoin. He was building it up beforehand, like this was something special, and then he just tanked it by saying, yeah, it's a scam. So people who got in on it when it was, 10 cents or more a share, just got it completely fucked with Elon Musk coming on and saying, yeah, Doge isn't a thing. Why are you watching this thing? Why'd you buy into this thing? Because you told us.
Or perform on the show at all because he's a capitalist monster. That was it for me. What childish woke nonsense. I fear for the survival of comedy. We need it now more than ever. Humor in print was huge. Mad Magazine, National Lampoon, and Spy Magazine here in North America were mandatory reads.
The legendary buy this magazine or we shoot this dog.
The slow death of network TV really has been harmful. Starring in or writing for a sitcom was the goal of almost every sketch comedy troupe and stand-up. At least all your hard work for little to no pay could amount to something. Not anymore. Comedy movies have almost disappeared, it seems, along with the demise of network.
The mid-budget comedy movie and getting in and out in 80 minutes. That's something that the Mario movie showed should still be done. It does not linger around way too fucking long. It gets in, it's out, it hits the ground running, and it is a narrative story that does not overstay its welcome. But just so many things that are 2 hours, 2.5 hours that absolutely do not need to be so, that only needs to be about 80 minutes.
Where TV and movies providing that important incentive as career goals, I believe there were 3 other seismic events that changed comedy. One was the
Janet Jackson's tit. That completely, and for no reason, made things very difficult on the radio industry. Just a very knee-jerk reaction. Janet Jackson's tit. We need to censor radio much more than we ever did.
Charlie Hebdo incident where it turned out that certain adherents to the religion of peace will actually kill you for defaming a dead person. This really put a chill in comedy, or more correctly, venues where comedians performed, humor publications, TV, and movies. Father Ted wonderfully skewered the Catholic faith, yet its creator, Graham Linehan, was not threatened with death by the Holy See. That came much later when he dared to say women don't have penises. Before I get to the woke festation that has killed the careers of many stand-ups, comedians, and writers and actors, let me dive into the other seismic occurrence. That was Donald Trump. Trump helped kill comedy. Or more accurately,
Okay, we've already been
left-leaning
here.
comedians and media outlets that hated Trump so much.
We already mentioned this in the last video. No reason
That's
to
a big
linger.
art form in the U.S. Not all clubs have gone.
Like so many people are lingering on that. Our good buddy Stuttering John, that is what his political podcast is still about.
Woke, but in the UK, it's dreadful. Almost all the clubs have gone woke, but it's still not as bad as Iran. A comedian there was recently tortured and killed. Tough crowd. Comedy is under.
Will Smith did not help this matter by slapping Chris Rock for jokes that he did not like. And really, he did not like the joke because his wife glared at him like, are you going to let him get a slight gag in on me? I am not a place for parody. If you're a public figure, then you are ripe for parody.
Under attack. Before I finish off with discussing wokeism, I just wanted to say that the targets for satire have also changed. In the late 60s era of the Smothers Brothers, you could say they had a lot of low-hanging fruit to pick from, though at the time it didn't feel that way. There was Vietnam, Black racism, a conservatism that could not figure out the hippie movement. David Steinberg, a fellow.
Okay, I feel like we've already been here in this last video. This is kind of just a rehash of what you said in that other one. You have some solid
Canadian.
points, but you're saying it in a tone of voice that is a little slow.
It has been told did one of his hilarious sermons about God, which caused CBS to not air the show, whereby the brothers were canceled. Living in a more conservative religious world, it was just easier to be anarchic and poke fun at institutions. All you had to do was smoke dope in a movie and slur your words. Dave's not here, man.
That was a really good movie. You can shit on Cheech and Chong for being low-hanging fruit on smoking dope, but that was really good movies. What did they have, like 6 of them? And I definitely push Things Are Tough All Over on people who have not watched it. That is one of the lesser Cheech and Chong movies, and it was absolutely great stuff.
7 words that you can't say on TV were highly offensive and problematic. When the British comedy show Beyond the Fringe made fun of Prime Minister Harold Wilson in 1964, it was front page news. The comedy group I was in, The Frantics, which you've heard me make.
The Frantics. There you go, Shampipple. If you would like to see some of this guy's young material, you can check out The Frantics to see what he was all about.
Mention of.
Are you the one? That's got to be you right there, right? Looking at all those. Yeah, you're the one in the middle lower there. Chato.
Did a bit called Heaven is for Presbyterians, which truly got a rise out of people in its time. But except for Lenny Bruce, we weren't arrested, threatened, or beaten up for our bits. And the comedy venues were on our side. They were supportive. They didn't freak out when one person complained. That's nothing compared to the
And now they do bend the knee to too many complaints. The reviews, the online reviews have really turned into something just very bad for all types of owners, where they are just scared of the mob that will come out and, yeah, people look online to see what it's all about. All these 1-stars, oh, it must be terrible. No, it's just people with their pitchforks and torches.
Mob that is out there now. I noticed it when we were performing at colleges and universities in the 80s, how they were telling us to tone down our routines. We stopped doing those gigs. We performed at prisons. They
good old Johnny Cash's favorite.
Didn't see it at the time, but it was there, the slow creep to diversity, equity, and inclusive totalitarianism. Now more than ever, we need a massive comedy enema. During the Cold War, the citizens of communist countries behind the Iron Curtain got news and broadcast.
And enemas are funny just to begin with. Throw some ice cubes in there, hilarious.
broadcasts about the world that was off limits to them through Radio Free Europe. We need a Radio Free comedy, broadcasting a
something about
acerbic
Radio
wit,
Free Europe. I've
sarcasm,
gotta
irony, and
research
parody
that a little more
everywhere.
before I say my
And
opinion on it.
so it should not be just up to Trey and Matt to hold the fort and fight the fight. Would love to hear your thoughts. Till next time, denizens, be.
So that was the old man yelling at a cloud with a less old man yelling at a cloud about Hollywood and comic books. And yeah, just the main thing is message before narrative. I noticed that with Sarah Silverman's Claymation, that was a big hunk of shit because they put their message before anything. They made Santa into a giant woman hater, and I don't think anyone wanted to see that, but that's what they did over there. So let's see what is going on with a holiday party over at Taco Bell. We have a fun holiday party that made the news.
An employee there says she walked in for the holiday party. It was potluck style. She had her bowl of guacamole there to be able to serve. And when she got in there, the windows were
bringing guacamole to a Taco Bell potluck. I feel like you're bringing sand to the beach.
Were covered with wrapping paper, and she alleges that the cameras were also covered as well. This all according to the lawsuit. Well, she says she went outside of the parking lot to mingle, and when she came back, she found most of the employees were completely intoxicated. Again, that's according to the suit. And she
sounds like a regular holiday party. We did hear from our buddy Struthless not to get drunk at your holiday party. So it sounds like there was actually only one sober person here at this holiday party, and she had complaints.
Even says one employee was having sex with his wife in the restaurant while his wife was engaged in intimate acts with two other people. She says that this all went on for a long time. She says in the lawsuit that she told the supervisor about what was going on, and the supervisor threatened to fight her inside of.
Okay, so she brought guacamole to a gangbang. You bring rubbers to a gangbang. You bring lube to a gangbang. Guacamole to a gangbang is something that's not needed.
The Taco Bell. She then says she left, came back to get her bowl of guacamole, only to find other employees vomiting in it. She alleges that when she filed an HR complaint, the two employees and the supervisor were ultimately fired, but then she was receiving threatening messages, letters, and her windshield was broken more than a week after the.
You tattled on the company gangbang. This was not approved by corporate. This was approved by the manager, this company gangbang. How dare you tell on us?
Party. Again, all of this according to the lawsuit. She says that management offered to transfer her to another store. She says that's not enough. That's why she's filing the lawsuit now. Turn a couple of publications request for comments. Corporate for Taco Bell, though, says that the owner expressed frustration in all of this and is looking into the matter. Taco Bell, by the way, corporate does not own this. Taco Bell doesn't really have any say in this.
Okay, so corporate, what are you going to do? I own this Taco Bell. You do not have jurisdiction over this gangbang. This gangbang is part of what I would like in my own Taco Bell. And that does sound like a messy gangbang at a Taco Bell. Sounds like it might need an enema to clear out the nastiness there. What we have our good-looking clown, Les Puppets, to take us out for the day. So, Les Puppets, what is going on with you?
They say when you can't sleep at night, it's because you're awake in someone else's dreams. When I find out who you are, I'm going to punch you in the face.
You son of a bitch. You are stopping me from sleeping. If you're going to think about me, come over and sleep in my bed.
When I dunk my cookies in my milk, I think of you and hold them under until the bubbles stop.
She does not like you as much as she likes her cookies, but those cookies will be nice and soggy once she is done.
Before coffee, I hate people. After coffee, I feel good about hating people.
And that's how I feel too when I have my coffee, is I am much more okay with my distaste of the world. I believe Chato did have his coffee before those videos. It appeared that he was completely okay with his distaste for what he was speaking about. That was co-host auditions for today. And if Chato's voice was not so deliberate, maybe he could make a reappearance. But that tone of voice was kind of fucking killing me inside. And the first and third videos were kind of the same videos. I was expecting the third one to be different because he labeled it so. That I thought it was going to be more about Matt and Trey and what they are doing good, but he kind of touched on it and then got back to what he was talking about in the previous video. So that is all for today with co-host auditions. I have turned off my voice chat over on Discord for the rest of the year. We'll be back. Tensions, I don't know why there was so much drama in there for a few in a row, but maybe it's the holiday tensions. I'll hop in yours for a little bit, Dabblestorian. Absolutely. He has got a very active voice chat. You can go to Dabblestorian's Discord to get in a voice chat that is very active a lot of the time. And yeah, I've got a few people in line. Dabblestorian mentioned that his Vinny Paulino co-host audition is now live on his channel, and it's getting a lot of views. And I honestly just have a very bad taste in my mouth from I did not want to be part of a contest, but I wanted to have an interview, and I feel very publicly embarrassed by that process. So yeah, I'm not as excited to get to it as I was beforehand, of being publicly embarrassed of showing here's what you can do, and we don't like it. So doing well over on his channel. I have put that off for a little while because I do like the style of just seeing what people put out there and commenting on it, showing what I can do. But that's very popular over on Dabblestorian's channel, the Vinny Paulino co-host auditions. We'll be back tomorrow with another co-host audition, a TikTok around the clock the day after, and I have not booked anyone for chatting with beloved chatters yet. I have got a bit of the holiday depression that I am working through. Thank you all for joining. Now feel free to go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Places all join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LSMFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to you, honey, with the right and left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LSMFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.